Welcome to my first video on the NBA playoffs. It is who is contenders and who is pretenders, and I cannot wait to see who wins. Okay, so let's see. First up, we have the Raptors. The Raptors are definitely. This one was hard. They're contenders. They're the second team, best team in the East, but they are literally, literally could very well be pretenders in my opinion. They're playing the Celtics in the second round, and they could just as easily meet their match in Boston in that second round series. I think that the Raptors could be pretenders or contenders. I think they could beat Boston in about 7, and Boston could beat them in 7 as well. So I'm picking the Raptors at half and half because that second round series with the Celtics is probably going to decide who goes to the NBA Finals, and I'm very excited to see the winner and who comes out on top of that series. As a Raptors fan, I'm having doubts because the Celtics are really good, ladies and gentlemen. The Celtics are a great offensive team. The Raptors, let's see if their defense can hold them off. I mean, as we said, defense wins championships, which it did last year against the Bucks and the Warriors. But the Raptors are half and half, definitely half and half. No question about it, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the Boston Celtics, and just as easily as I said with the Raptors, they're looking like contenders, just like the Raptors, but they can just as easily be pretenders because they're playing the Raptors in the second round. And without any opinion, I think they're half and half because the Raptors are a really great offense team, great defensive team, and the Celtics are a great offensive team with Tatum, Brown, and Kemba. So that's going to be a really good series to watch. I think, as I said, my opinion, I think whoever wins the Raptors versus Celtics series is going to is going to go to the NBA Finals. I don't think the Bucks can handle the Raptors or the Celtics right now. I mean, the Bucks are good, but they're just not scary. So I would easily I pick the Boston as half and half, just like I did for the Toronto Raptors, because again, the Celtics could just as easily beat the Raptors, and the Celtics could just as easily lose to the Raptors. So it's really a pick 'em matchup in the second round, even though the Celtics do play the Sixers in round 1, which could be tough on their part, really tough on their part, because I do think the Sixers could take the Celtics to 6 games, and the Raptors would take them to at least 7. So I'm gonna say half and half for that one. Okay, next up we have the Milwaukee Bucks, and clearly they are undisputed contenders, ladies and gentlemen, because they yet again have the best record in the NBA for the second straight year. In my opinion, I don't think they could very well go to the NBA Finals. I think my prediction is the winner of the Raptors Celtics round 2 series is going to the is going to going to the NBA Finals, but the Bucks are certainly contenders, ladies and gentlemen. I think the Bucks will. There's just no question about it. The Bucks are 100% contenders, and they will be contenders this entire time. And they, it's either going to be them, and the matchup everyone wants to see is the Lakers and Bucks in the NBA Finals. That's what all the 2K simulations have. The Bucks are easily contenders, ladies and gentlemen. There's no doubt about it. And I cannot wait to see what the Bucks can put together. They're not scary, but they're really good. They might lose in they're pretty much going to go to the conference final. So I'm putting the Bucks as easily being contenders. The Bucks are easy contenders. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, we have the Orlando Magic, and trust me, the Orlando Magic, we all know, are 100% pretenders. They have absolutely no chance against Milwaukee. If they somehow beat Milwaukee, that is the greatest upset of all time. But that is not. It is not that is not the greatest upset of all time. I think the Bucks will take this in 4. The Bucks would easily take out the Magic. So there's no doubt about it. No doubt about it at all. I think they got a great. Think that they can make some noise in a few years. I think they got Markelle Fultz. I mean, Markelle Fultz has to prove that he's not a draft bust. I mean, he's already being flagged as a draft bust. The Magic, they shocked the world last year. They took 1 game off the Raptors. I wouldn't be surprised if they take 1 game off the Bucks, but I don't think they will. I think they're gonna get swept by the Bucks. I think Orlando will get blown out in 3 of them, and then they would make Game 4 a really close one. They would put Game 4 down to the wire. So that's just my opinion. I think the Bucks would the I think that the Magic would get blown out in the first 3 games and then force a down to the wire Game 4, but they will come out short and be swept, unfortunately. So the Magic are 100% pretenders, no doubt about it. They're pretenders. Next up, we have the Miami Heat, and the Miami Heat are probably one of the most exciting team in the NBA. I think they're definitely back to glory. I think they could go hard. They can make a serious playoff run, but I just think they just don't. They're on the wrong side of the bracket. They're on the same side as the Bucks. Unfortunately, I think the Bucks. I think Miami and Milwaukee will probably be an amazing series. I think it's going to be like the second best. I think the Heat could take 2 off the Bucks. I think they're good enough. They're young enough. They have Bam Adebayo, a breakout season, and let alone they could even stun the Bucks because they beat the Bucks earlier this year in what was an upset. So that could be a really, really interesting series to watch with the Miami Heat and the Bucks. Personally, I would have the Bucks prevailing over the Heat in 6 games, but I would not count out the Miami Heat at all in any of these games. I think they match up well with the Bucks. And I mean, all they need to do is play good defense on Giannis. I mean, we all learned the Toronto Raptors. All they did was play good defense on Giannis, and they won the series easily. Well, not easily. They went to double overtime, but you know what I'm saying. But I mean, the Miami Heat are contenders, ladies and gentlemen. It all depends if they can beat. They can somehow beat the Milwaukee Bucks. They're contenders for sure. The Indiana Pacers, ladies and gentlemen, and the Pacers are definitely pretenders. I don't think they're going to get past Boston. No, I don't think they're going to get past Miami. I think Miami will make short work of them. I don't really have much to say on the Pacers. That they have young future, a really bright future in Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner, Malcolm Brogdon. I think that team could make some noise. That maybe they could go back to the Paul George days where they went to the conference final. That's a couple years away. Not gonna lie, I think the Pacers might take a game off the Heat, but they will not win the series, unfortunately, because I don't think the Pacers are yet good enough that do not match up well with those Miami Heat. So that's just my opinion, and it's probably anyone's opinion. I think that T.J. Warren versus Jimmy Butler would be interesting in the first round, but I do think Jimmy Butler comes away with the 5-game series victory over the Indiana Pacers without question. The Pacers are pretenders. Pacers are pretenders, no doubt about it. Next up, we have the Philadelphia 76ers. And in my opinion, I think that the 76ers have a very, very bright future in them. I think they can make some noise. They're definitely going to come out of the East in a couple of years. I mean, they got Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons. Might trade Joel Embiid. It depends on what they get out of Joel Embiid. If they get like a superstar out of Joel Embiid, maybe Anthony Davis. No, definitely not Anthony Davis. Lakers wouldn't make that trade at all. But I do think that the Sixers will come out of the East in a couple years. This year they were kind of a disappointment with Al Horford, Josh Richardson. They were expected to be the best team in the Eastern Conference, but this year they're a disappointment, unfortunately. So I think the 76ers are pretenders. There's no doubt about it. I think they're going to meet their match in the Celtics, and the Celtics will prevail and win this series against the Sixers in about 6 games. I don't think the Sixers are good enough to force that Game 7, because they definitely are, because the Sixers are one of the strongest home teams. Really, like, they're one of the strongest home teams, ladies and gentlemen, but they're the weakest road team in the league. So I would expect them to potentially force a Game 7, but that Game 7 is in Boston, unfortunately. So I think the Sixers are pretenders in this case. Sixers in a few years will be contenders now, no doubt about it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, up next we have the Brooklyn Nets. And the Nets, they were expected to be one of the best teams in the NBA, expected to be one of the top teams, potentially come out of the East. and play in the NBA Finals, but unfortunately that did not happen with Kevin Durant's Achilles injury. Kevin Durant is fully healthy. I don't know why he's not coming back. I guess he doesn't want to play the Raptors. But since Kevin Durant is not playing, the Nets will lose to the Raptors. I think there's no way. I think the Nets are good enough without Kevin Durant or Kyrie. I think the Nets are still good enough to take one game off the Raptors, but I do see the Raptors just steamrolling them because it's the only thing that they potentially do. I mean, the Nets will be a potential dynasty. I think they will potentially be the first seed once Kevin Durant comes back and Kyrie is 100%. I know Kyrie is a locker room diva, but he's great on the court and he can win games. So I see the Nets this year being pretenders. I think they're going to lose to the Raptors in round one. So they're pretenders without question. Okay, next up we have the Washington Wizards. Come on now. Please tell me that the Wizards, I mean, I'd like to see the Wizards go back to the playoffs. I think the Wizards, I want them to be in the playoffs over the Magic. I don't want the Magic to be in the playoffs. I want the Wizards to be in the playoffs. I'll give them that. But do you really think they're going to beat the Bucks? No. Orlando will probably force one close game. The Wizards will just get blown out all 4 games, unfortunately. But I do want them to come out of the. I do want them to win the play-in tournament over the Magic. I really don't want them. I don't really don't want to see the Magic in the playoffs. The Wizards would be nice. They have a bright future in them. Roy Hachimura and a breakout star in Bradley Beal. I think if John Wall gets healthy, the Wizards could be a top 4 team. And I mean that with John Wall, the Wizards could be a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference, but not this year. And I think the Bucks will just steamroll them, even if they even make the playoffs in the playoff round. So the Wizards are definitely pretenders in this case. Okay, next up we have the LA Lakers, and the LA Lakers are the favorite to win it all with them and the Clippers. I think that the Lakers definitely have playoff LeBron. People just underrate the Lakers. I mean, Lakers are 100% contenders. I don't know how the heck Colin Cowherd had them as pretenders. They're good enough to make it to the conference final. They're good enough to go to the NBA finals. And playoff LeBron is no pretender. I've seen 2018 playoff LeBron, and I'm sure as heck going to see 2020 playoff LeBron with Anthony Davis. So I don't know what the heck Colin Cowherd is doing right now, because the Lakers are 100% contenders. They're going to the NBA finals. I see they're better than the Clippers. I think playoff LeBron is the dagger in this Western Conference. I think playoff LeBron is the answer to a Lakers championship. I mean, and think with the death of Kobe Bryant, the Lakers absolutely have to win the NBA championship. For Kobe would be like the best thing of all time, and it would be nice to happen. And it better happen, because I don't know why Colin Cowherd is naming the Lakers as pretenders with playoff heckin' LeBron, dude. Come on, bro. Lakers are contenders, big time contenders. Next up, we have the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in the Western Conference because there is a lot of Western Conference teams, but I'm saying that the Grizzlies are pretenders. They got a great future in Valanciunas, great future in John Morant, great future in Jaren Jackson Jr. I think they could go back to the top. I think they could go back to the playoffs in a few years. Just not. And John Morant, who's rookie of the year, easily rookie of the year. Zion just simply only played 19 games, dominated 19 games. Unfortunately, Ja will take. I mean, give credit where credit is due with Ja, bro. This Ja is putting his team into the playoff. Has his team into the playoffs. Really, I mean, John Morant had his team to the 8th seed as a rookie. I don't think the Grizzlies are going to make it to the playoffs though. I think it's either going to be the Spurs or the Pelicans. I think the Spurs, you can't count them out. They're on a big playoff streak, and then the Pelicans I'll get to later. So the Grizzlies are pretenders. Okay, before you all at me for this, I know that the Houston Rockets have 2 players that are known for that are known for choking in the playoffs. But we're not going to talk about that, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to say that this is their year to do something in the playoffs. I mean, they got Covington. Covington's doing everything they want for them this season. What else? They also have a veteran PJ Tucker, and they got the dribblers Harden and Westbrook. Those guys are known for choking in the playoffs, but this is their year to do something. I mean, there's no Warriors this year. There's a there's there's a there's the Lakers and Clippers though. I do think that the Rockets will beat one of the LA teams. Probably the Lakers, but I think Harden knows that this is his year to do something in the playoffs, and he's not going to waste that up at all. So I have the Rockets as contenders because the Rockets. They know that they can go far. They know they can get to the conference final. That's going to be interesting to watch. I think Russell Westbrook. We can really see what Russell Westbrook and James Harden can do in the finals without that Warriors dynasty there. So let's see what happens. Contenders for sure. Next up, we have the Jazz, and the Jazz have a great player in Donovan Mitchell. They have a really great defensive team. As I said, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the conference final. I'm just going to say the Jazz are pretenders. I think they don't know how to guard Westbrook, Harden, Covington. Yeah, so I do think that the Jazz will force a fight out of this series. I think it will be at least maybe a 7-game series, but I do see the Rockets overall coming away with the victory. I think that they're early in the regular season. Russell Westbrook made Rudy Gobert look like a chicken. Didn't play good defense on them at all. I know Rudy Gobert has to come up with rejections. He has to stand on his head. He has to stand in the key and play defense to really win this series. But I think that Harden and Westbrook will drive in, and they'll probably just kick out to PJ Tucker for a corner three, and he probably won't miss. Or they're probably just going to lay it in. So I do see the Rockets getting this. I do see the Jazz losing to the Rockets. So unfortunately, but they're going to do something in the near future. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is going to be a superstar. He already is a superstar, but he's going to be something in this league for sure. And that's why I do see, but just not right now. So that's why the Jazz are pretenders. Next up, we have the Dallas Mavericks, and I do see the Mavericks as a surprise team in these playoffs. I do think they could potentially get over Denver. I think Luka and Kristaps could make that happen. I think the Mavericks could give the Nuggets a run for their money. So definitely a surprise team, but unfortunately the Mavericks will be playing the Clippers in that second round series. Unfortunately, so I do see them as pretenders. So, but they will surprise a lot of people by defeating the Nuggets. And trust me, the Nuggets are really tough, a really young team. They're not really that experienced. I think they just need to take a little bit more baby steps. But Luka, who hasn't been in the playoffs either, I do think will do Luka things. It will be a tight series, but I think Luka Doncic is an MVP candidate, and I do think Luka will just come over top in his first ever playoff series, and stand on his head, drop 30 a night, and have one of the best playoff series of all time. That's going to be a really good series to watch. But I do think the Mavs will come out on top and shock the world. You could say a lot about Denver, but I do have the Mavs as pretenders, though. They have to play the Clippers in the second round, but the Mavericks will. The Mavericks will definitely be pretenders, but they will shock the Nuggets for sure. All right, next we have the Denver Nuggets, and I think the Denver Nuggets are pretenders. They showed last year that they just couldn't get the job done. They weren't experienced. They choked Game 7, and I think that the Nuggets are better than the Blazers. I know that it's a new season, but I do think that the Nuggets will meet their match in the Mavericks. They're definitely good enough to force Game 7, even though they struggled with the Spurs, unfortunately. So I think they're going to struggle with the Mavs indefinitely. So I do think this is a thrilling 7-game series. I'm excited to watch it at all costs. This is going to be exciting. It's going to be a battle of young talent. I mean, it's a battle of Luka versus Jamal Murray, a battle of Kristaps versus Jokic. And it's going to be a grinded out, take it or leave it series. I mean, in that series, your stars are going to have to show up. Unfortunately, DeMar DeRozan did not show up last year in the playoffs against Denver, so that's pretty much why the Nuggets beat the Spurs last year, because DeMar DeRozan just couldn't perform in the playoffs, and that's why I see. But Luka Doncic will for sure, and I see that he will. The Nuggets will fall to the Mavericks, so the Nuggets are pretenders for sure. Up next, we have the OKC Thunder. And the OKC Thunder are the second biggest surprise team in the league, behind the Raptors. Not being biased, I'm just saying that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is becoming a star in the league, probably one of the most improved players in the league, and he's definitely probably the next D Wade in my opinion. Definitely the next big D Wade player. I do, in my opinion. I'm just saying the Thunder, their luck is going to run out against the Clippers, and I do think that the Clippers will take care of their business in 5 games. But it's not easy to trade 2 of your All-Stars and get better. And that's what the Thunder did. I think they're going to get worse. I think at least they're going to lose in about 5 games to the Clippers. Even though I think Paul George and Russell Westbrook could give the Clippers a run for their money and potentially win that series, but they probably won't because Paul George is playing for the Clippers, so it's going to be a little bit weird. It's going to be weird to see Paul George playing a playoff series against his former OKC team, which is going to be crazy. So the Thunder are definitely pretenders in my opinion. Up next, we have the OKC Thunder. And the OKC Thunder are the second biggest surprise team in the league, behind the Raptors. Not being biased, I'm just saying that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is becoming a star in the league, probably one of the most improved players in the league, and he's definitely probably the next D Wade in my opinion. Definitely the next big D Wade player. I do, in my opinion. I'm just saying the Thunder, their luck is going to run out against the Clippers, and I do think that the Clippers will take care of their business in 5 games. But it's not easy to trade 2 of your All-Stars and get better. And that's what the Thunder did. I think they're going to get worse. I think at least they're going to lose in about 5 games to the Clippers. Even though I think Paul George and Russell Westbrook could give the Clippers a run for their money and potentially win that series, but they probably won't because Paul George is playing for the Clippers, so it's going to be a little bit weird. It's going to be weird to see Paul George playing a playoff series against his former OKC team, which is going to be crazy. So the Thunder are definitely pretenders in my opinion. Okay, there is no question what my answer is here. There is no doubt about it that it is the LA Clippers. They are contenders. They are literally probably the best team in the West. They are going to probably get to the NBA Finals. I think they might lose in the conference finals. I think the conference finals between the Clippers and Lakers is a pick'em series. You pick who wins. It's gonna be a close series. I think playoff LeBron would be the dagger, but I think Kawhi Leonard's good enough to guard playoff LeBron, so it's easily anybody's series. It's gonna be a funny series. It's gonna be a really amazing and awesome series. So I'm going to love to see that series and how it plays out. So the Clippers are 110% contenders in this case. And now I have to go to the play-in teams, which is going to be fun. Clippers are contenders for sure. Okay, now we're going to go into the play-in teams, and we're going to start with the Spurs. Not spending a lot of time on them because I think the Spurs will not make the playoffs in the play-in round. I think the Spurs will lose. I don't think DeMar DeRozan won't come in clutch. I mean, he does. I mean, that's DeMar DeRozan's motto. He's good when you don't need him to be good. Like he's good. As a Raptors fan, I know this, bro. He's only good when he's a really good at basketball, but he just when you need him to be good, like in the clutch, he's not clutch at all. He chokes. And as a Raptors fan, I've spent I've seen DeMar DeRozan in the playoffs so many times, and he does not know how to win a playoff game. DeMar DeRozan does not know how to win a playoff game. LeBron, like literally, come on now. Remember that one time where the Raptors had the 1 seed in 2018, and the Raptors lost to the 4th seed Cavs, bro. Because DeMar DeRozan don't know how to win a playoff game, really doesn't. I mean, if the Pacers can take that Cavs team to 7 games, the Raptors should have took that Cavs team to 7 games. If the Celtics without Kyrie or Gordon Hayward can take that Cavs team to 7 games, then the 1 seed Raptors should take them to 7 games. But DeMar DeRozan is known for choking in the playoffs, and I don't see DeMar DeRozan winning a championship unless he's on a super team. So San Antonio is a pretender, and their 22 playoff streak unfortunately will come to an end. Okay, next up we have the Phoenix Suns, and trust me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not spending a lot of time on them. They are definitely pretenders. I'm not gonna sit here all day and talk about all these play-in teams that half of them aren't gonna make the playoffs. The Suns aren't one of them. I think they were a surprise team early in the year. I think if they had without Ayton, but I'm not saying Ayton is a really bad player. He's a really good player. He's the reason the Suns are where they're at. I mean, this is the closest the Suns have been to the playoffs in forever. So I expect them winning about a few games in the 8-game round robin, but I don't see them winning. I don't see them making the playoffs. But next year, I think they could make the playoffs. I think next year, if they stick to that hot start last year, in the beginning of the year, next year they could make the playoffs. So the Suns are definitely pretenders this year, anyway. All right, next up we have the New Orleans Pelicans. And I have a lot to say about them. I think the New Orleans Pelicans can make some noise in the 8-game playoff round. I think the Pelicans will make the playoffs with Zion Williamson. I mean, it's sad because I see on all these videos like best player on every NBA team, they have Zion Williamson as the best player on the Pelicans when Zion's only played 19 games. I mean, come on now. I mean, trust me, Zion has dominated those 19 games, ladies and gentlemen. But we have to give credit where credit is due with Brandon Ingram. He's been the best player on the Pelicans all year long. I mean, if Zion played more than 19 games, he would have easily been the best player on the Pelicans, but he's not. So I think that Zion could take them into the playoffs, and I think that they could very well take the Lakers to 5 games, maybe 6. I mean, Zion versus LeBron, that's interesting. I mean, the Pelicans, if they're really good enough to take the Lakers to 6 games, where you can see that, but I think that's something that could very well happen. I think the Pelicans are going to come in hungry, looking for that playoff spot, and yeah, you know. Don't even get me started on the Sacramento Kings, okay? They are pretenders. They have not made the playoffs since over 20 years. They're just not there yet. I don't know why. I think that Buddy Hield and De'Aaron Fox just aren't good enough to take this team to the playoffs. I don't know what is. I mean, they both are going to be good players in the future. They're all superstars, and I can't wait. And they're going to be amazing players, man. They're going to be really amazing players. De'Aaron, he's had a really big impact on the team. This last year they won 33 games. I don't know what the Kings are going to do. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs anytime soon. Maybe they could be a surprise team, but they're definitely pretenders. Definitely pretenders. I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in the last few days. I just didn't feel like having the camera in my face. I know I'm uploading frequently, but I just needed a break. And also, thank you for actually watching my video. I know this one's a long one, but if you want to see if your team is a contender or a pretender, check it out. My videos aren't usually this long. I promise me, I think there's 22 teams in the playoffs hurts. So 2K Elite, what's up?